ridiculous liberties that we have. But it's based on a flawed assumption that the government owns everything you earn. That means, you know, your right to your life and the right to your liberty and your right to pursue your happiness and be productive means that the government owns everything you earn, and the government allows you to keep a certain percentage with their permission. And I don't like that idea. I think you should own what you earn. But we had to change in our tax system, and of course with the Federal Reserve being the lender and the printer of last resort, guaranteed that government would grow, and that was the purpose of both the income tax and the Federal Reserve. But the Federal Reserve satisfies a lot of people across the political spectrum. It satisfies those who think that we should be the policemen of the world, that we should be, you know, in 135 countries and have 900 bases, be the policemen and get involved in nation building. Quite frankly, if you look at the Constitution, we have no authority to do it. We have no authority to be at wars that are undeclared. So I would say if you need to stop some spending and get our budget in order, the best place to start is to change our foreign policy and bring our troops home and mind our own business. But domestically, it was very convenient to have taxes and also printing money when you needed extra to run the entitlement system. And a productive nation can do that for a good many years, and it has. But eventually, it catches up with us. And that's what's happened. That's why we have a crisis now, because we've destroyed our productive capacity. We've borrowed as much as we could, and we're now at the point where we've printed about as much as we can, and that's why we're in a financial crisis. It's not like this just popped up. Like I said, it didn't pop up in the last 3 years or even the last 8 years. It had to undermine the fundamentals of the country, the respect for individual liberty, the responsibility of the Constitution to restrain the federal government, to allow the markets to work, to have sound money. And that has happened over quite a few years. I date the more acute problem from 1971 on, because that was when we lost our last link of our dollar to any restraining effort on the Federal Reserve. Because up until August 15th of 1971, there was some linkage of our coinage to gold, which always meant the Federal Reserve had to be restrained, and also the government had to be restrained in spending. But when that last link was lost is when I got more interested in speaking up on economic policy, because I got involved in the 60s studying and trying to understand what really made the economy work and what the business cycles are. Why are people unemployed, and why do we have inflation, and why do we do all these things that we shouldn't be doing? And so the predictions were very clear that the system we had between 1945, since we were the wealthiest country after World War II, we were not devastated. We had the gold and we had the production, and we loaned money to other people, and we thought it would last forever. But the system broke down because we abused it, and probably the most amazing thing to many of us who have looked at this, that in 1971, by all logic, we should have had to revamp the system. But instead of that, the people of the world still trusted us. We were very wealthy, we had the military power, and things were going rather well. So they kept taking our dollars, and they have continued to do this. But what has happened there? The dollars we produce, we send them overseas, we get cheap products, and guess what? Our dollars go overseas. Instead of foreigners owing us $1 trillion or two, we owe them $3 trillion, and guess what? We owe a bunch of it to China. Where did our jobs go, our productivity, our manufacturing jobs? They're overseas. In the last decade, since the year 2000, we've had 30 million new people in this country and no real new manufacturing jobs. So as we kept living way beyond our means, the pie kept shrinking. And yet, the world has still taken our dollars, but right now, less so. Because they took our dollars and treated our dollars as good as gold, they put them in the bank and they inflated their currencies. So a country like Greece holds dollars, and that's how they got into trouble. But the whole world holds these dollars, and everybody thinks the dollar will bail out everybody forever. and it won't work. Just look at what's happened here in the last 2 or 3 years.